99% don't know this is why old people smell. Wash this one spot to eliminate it instantly. You know that moment when you walk into someone's house and there's this distinct, lingering scent in the air. One you can't quite name, but it makes you feel like time just slowed down. It's not always offensive. Sometimes it's just different. A little musty, maybe a bit stale. But here's the thing. That scent isn't just how old people smell. It has a name. It has a cause. And the wild part? Most people, like 99% of us, have no idea where it actually comes from or how easy it is to fix. We've tiptoed around this topic for decades. It's uncomfortable, right? Nobody wants to talk about the way our parents or grandparents might smell as they get older. And even fewer of us want to think about what it means for ourselves one day. So we make jokes, spray some air freshener, and never address the root of it. But deep down, we know it's real. And for the people dealing with it, whether they're aware of it or not, it can chip away at their confidence, their relationships, and their sense of dignity. Here's the truth. That smell isn't just old age. It's not something you have to accept. It's not a life sentence once you hit a certain birthday. In fact, it all comes down to something incredibly simple, something so overlooked that most people never even think to wash it properly. It's one small area of the body that collects oils, bacteria, and a particular compound that's almost entirely responsible for that scent. Clean it right and everything changes. This video isn't just about hygiene, it's about awareness. It's about breaking silence. It's about giving people, young or old, a chance to feel human, respected, and fresh. Because let's be honest, how we smell says a lot about how we feel. And if we're going to show up for our families, for ourselves, and for the people we love most, it starts with something as basic and as powerful as knowing the truth. So stick with me, because by the time we're done, you'll understand what causes that smell, where it hides, and how washing one spot can make a world of difference. Section 1. What is that smell, really? Let's get one thing clear from the start. This smell we're talking about, it's not because someone didn't shower. It's not about being dirty or unhygienic. In fact, most older people bathe regularly. They care about cleanliness. So if it's not about skipping soap and water, what is it? The real culprit is something called Nonenal. Yeah, it sounds like a chemical, and that's because it is. It's an organic compound that your body naturally produces more of as you age. Most people don't even know it exists, but Nonenal has a very specific scent profile, slightly greasy, grassy, and a little metallic or musty. And once you've smelled it, you never really forget it. Now here's where it gets interesting. Nonenal isn't just floating around randomly. It gets released through the skin, especially when skin oils oxidize. When we're younger, our body's natural renewal process keeps those oils in check. But as we age, our antioxidant levels drop, our hormones shift, and our skin starts to behave differently. The result? That signature scent starts creeping in, and most people can't quite pinpoint it, but they can definitely smell it. It's not about neglect, it's biology. And unfortunately, it's not something a splash of cologne or a quick rinse in the shower can completely fix. The truth is, this compound settles into the places we tend to forget about, the places we don't scrub with intention, and that's where the real problem begins. So when people say old people have a smell, what they're really experiencing is the result of a very specific chemical reaction in the body. And here's the wild part. It starts happening way earlier than you think. Sometimes in your 40s, definitely by your 50s, But again, it's not inevitable. If you know what's going on, you can do something about it. And that's exactly what we're here to talk about. Section 2. Why this smell gets stronger with age. Let's dive a little deeper, because understanding why this smell intensifies with age is key to actually doing something about it. First off, our skin changes as we get older. You've probably heard that our skin gets thinner and drier, and that's true. But it's not just about dryness. Our skin also starts producing different types of oils. Younger skin has a balance of sebum that helps it stay fresh and vibrant. But as we age, that balance shifts. Our bodies produce more omega-7 unsaturated fatty acids, which are more prone to oxidation. And when those oxidize, you guessed it, they produce 2-nonenal. Then there's the hormonal factor. As estrogen and testosterone levels decline, especially during menopause and andropause, everything from body temperature to sweat glands can be affected. These hormonal changes impact the composition of our body odor, subtly at first, and then more noticeably as time goes on. But that's not all. Diet plays a huge role too. Highly processed foods, low water intake, and certain medications can make things worse. When your body struggles to detoxify efficiently, those waste products can come out through your skin. Add that to an already shifting oil composition, and you've got the perfect storm for a persistent, hard-to-pinpoint odor. Let's not forget lifestyle habits. As people get older, they may become less physically active, spend more time indoors, and develop routines that don't always prioritize deep cleansing. It's not laziness. It's often about comfort, mobility, or simply not being aware that something needs to change. And here's a surprising truth. The people around us don't always say anything. Friends and family might notice something, but they stay quiet out of politeness or fear of offending someone they love. So the issue goes unaddressed, and the cycle continues. Quietly. Invisibly. But constantly. Understanding all this gives us power. Power to change, to help, and to support the people we care about, without judgment. Because the moment we stop blaming old age and start looking at the real causes, we open the door to real solutions. Section 3. The hidden place nobody thinks to wash. All right, so now we know the smell isn't random, and it's not just a part of getting older. It's biological. It's chemical. But more than anything else, it's targeted. It shows up in specific places. And if there's one area that people consistently miss, it's this. Right behind the ears and along the base of the neck. Sounds simple, right? But think about your last shower. Did you actually scrub behind your ears? Did you reach the folds behind your jawline or under your earlobes? What about the part of your neck that meets your scalp? Most people don't. We splash water there, maybe run a hand through it, but we don't scrub. And that's where the problem lies. This zone, the nape of the neck behind the ears around the base of the skull, is a hot spot for oil, sweat, and dead skin. And it's one of the areas where 2-nonenal builds up the most. Why? Because it's warm, it's covered by hair, and it's often overlooked. That makes it the perfect breeding ground for odor-causing bacteria and oxidized skin oils. And here's where it gets even more important. As we age, we tend to sweat less overall, but the sweat we do produce becomes more concentrated. Combine that with the natural oils secreted from sebaceous glands in the scalp and neck, and you've got a recipe for that signature old person smell to lock in and linger. Just washing this one area, properly with intention and using the right tools, can dramatically change the way someone smells. We're talking about using a soft cloth or exfoliating brush to gently but thoroughly clean behind the ears, under the hairline, and along the neck folds. Not just a rinse, but an actual cleanse. It might seem like a small thing. It might even feel silly at first. But this overlooked spot is ground zero for the kind of scent that stays with someone. Not because they're dirty, but because they just didn't know. Once you address it, the change is almost immediate. And for many people, it's the first time they felt truly clean in years. Section 4. The psychology of scent. Let's take a step back from the science for a moment and talk about something a little deeper. Something that hits closer to the heart than the nose. Our sense of smell is directly connected to memory and emotion. That's not just a poetic idea. It's hardwired into our brains. Think about it. A whiff of a certain perfume can send you right back to high school. The smell of freshly baked cookies might remind you of your grandmother's kitchen. And that scent of old books instantly takes you to a quiet library or your college dorm. Smell doesn't just inform us of the world around us, it anchors us in our past. It tells stories. Now here's the difficult part. When someone develops an odor that's unpleasant, especially one associated with aging, it doesn't just affect how others perceive them. It changes how they feel about themselves. Subtly, slowly, and silently. Most people won't say it out loud, but when they notice someone has that smell, their body language changes. They step back instead of leaning in. They keep visits short. They might not even realize they're doing it, but the person on the receiving end definitely feels it. And if the person with the odor senses something's off, but doesn't know why, it can lead to a quiet kind of shame. They may start withdrawing socially. They might avoid hugs, become more self-conscious, or stop participating in activities they used to love. Not because they're sick or sad, but because they sense a shift in how others respond to them. It's heartbreaking when you realize how much of this could be avoided. A scent can shape someone's identity, especially when that scent becomes associated with decline or distance. But here's the beautiful part. Once you address the cause, you can start to rewrite that story. When someone feels fresh and clean, they stand taller. They feel more connected, more confident, more themselves. That's the power of understanding what scent really means, and how something so physical can have such a powerful emotional ripple effect. Section 5. Myths that keep the problem alive. There are a lot of beliefs floating around when it comes to hygiene and aging, many of them just flat out wrong. And the problem is, these myths keep people stuck. They stop us from making the changes that could completely transform someone's experience of aging. Let's start with the big one. Old people just smell like that. No, they don't. They smell that way because of very specific biological changes, and even more so because they're not being taught how to adapt their hygiene to those changes. If we told people earlier in life about the role of Nonenal and how to wash those often neglected zones, this whole stereotype might disappear. Another common one. I shower every day. I'm clean. It's not about frequency, it's about effectiveness. You can shower daily and still miss the key zones that need extra attention, especially if showers are quick, or mobility is limited, or there's discomfort in bending or reaching certain areas. Just going through the motions doesn't mean you're addressing what really matters. Then there's the trap of overcompensation. I'll just use more perfume or body spray. Covering the smell is not the same as cleaning it. In fact, sometimes it makes things worse. Layering fragrance on top of oxidized skin oils and bacteria can create a scent that's even more intense and far less pleasant. It's like spraying cologne on a sweaty gym shirt. Not ideal. There's also this idea that exfoliation is for the young, that older skin is too sensitive to be scrubbed. And while it's true that aging skin needs to be treated gently, that doesn't mean we should stop cleansing it thoroughly. In fact, gentle exfoliation is more important than ever because it helps remove the dead skin cells and oils that trap nonenal in the first place. These myths don't just prevent people from addressing the issue. They create a wall of silence. A sense of, well, this is just the way it is. But it's not. And the moment we start challenging these outdated beliefs, we create space for something better: dignity, clarity, and real change. Section 6. A story you'll never forget. Let me tell you a story that might stick with you. Not because it's shocking or dramatic, but because it's real. It's something that happens more often than we realize. There was a teenage girl, let's call her Maya, who loved her grandmother deeply. They used to spend weekends together, baking, watching old movies, and talking about life. But as Maya got older, she started noticing something. A certain smell. It wasn't awful, but it was different. Faint, but consistent. It clung to her grandmother's clothes, her couch, even the pages of her books. Maya never said anything. She didn't want to hurt her grandmother's feelings, but little by little she started pulling away. Visits became shorter. She opted for texts instead of calls. She even stopped hugging as often. Not because she didn't love her grandmother, but because she didn't know how to process what she was sensing. Her grandmother noticed. Of course she did. She started asking if something was wrong. Maya would smile and say no, but the gap was growing, and neither of them knew how to talk about it. Then one day, by pure coincidence, Maya saw a short video online about the exact thing we're talking about now. 2 Nonenal hidden odor zones, and the science behind that old person smell. She was stunned. It wasn't a character flaw. It wasn't neglect. It was just biology and a lack of awareness. She gently brought it up to her grandmother, who was open, curious, and even a little amused. Together, they adjusted her hygiene routine. They made it a light-hearted experience, even adding a behind-the-ears reminder sticky note in the bathroom mirror. The change was instant. The scent faded. The awkwardness disappeared. But more importantly, the closeness came back. The hugs returned. The weekends stretched longer again, all because they talked about something no one ever talks about. That's the power of knowledge. That's what happens when you go beyond the silence and speak with love, not judgment. One honest conversation brought 2 generations back together. And all it took was a little awareness, a little scrubbing, and a lot of heart. Section 7. The 1-minute fix that changes everything. So let's get practical now. You've made it this far, and by now, you understand what causes that lingering odor and where it hides. But here's the part most people have been waiting for. How do you actually fix it? Believe it or not, it can take less than a minute a day. The key is simple. Wash behind the ears and along the base of the neck with intention. Not a rinse, not a casual swipe. A proper gentle scrub with warm water, a soft cloth, and a mild soap that breaks down oils and bacteria without drying out the skin. Here's how to do it right. Wet a clean, soft washcloth with warm water. Add a little gentle, unscented soap, something that breaks through oil but isn't harsh. Lift the ear slightly and scrub behind it, reaching into the creases and the fold that runs down to the jawline. Run the cloth along the hairline at the back of the neck. That area where your hair meets your neck, that's where oil loves to hide. Repeat on both sides. Rinse the cloth and wipe again to make sure there's no residue. If mobility or flexibility is an issue, long-handled scrubbers or gentle exfoliating gloves can help. And if skin is very sensitive, you can use a mix of warm water and witch hazel instead of soap, still effective at cutting through the oil that holds onto that nonenal compound. Doing this once a day, or even just a few times a week, can completely transform how someone smells. Not masked, not covered up, gone. Because you're addressing the source, not the symptoms. This isn't about harsh routines or expensive products. It's about being aware of a forgotten area and giving it the attention it quietly deserves. And once you start, you'll wonder why no one ever told you sooner. Section 8. Why no one talks about this. Now, this part right here, it might be the most important one of all. Because let's be honest, why is this such a secret? Why do so few people know that odor in older adults can be directly linked to one specific compound? Why don't doctors talk about it more? Why don't caregivers get taught this in basic training? Why aren't there signs in the drugstore or helpful reminders in health magazines? It's because it's awkward. Plain and simple. Talking about how someone smells can feel deeply personal, like you're criticizing who they are, not just what they do. And for older adults who are already facing so many changes, loss of mobility, independence, youth, it can feel like one more blow to their dignity. So people stay quiet. They light candles, they open windows, they give polite little hints like gifting soap baskets, but they don't say the thing that matters. And that silence only makes it worse. Then there's cultural pressure. We're taught to respect our elders, and we should. But respect doesn't mean avoiding the truth. In fact, helping someone feel their best is one of the highest forms of love there is. And for older adults themselves, there's often this quiet shame. They know something's different. They catch a faint whiff when they're changing clothes or doing laundry, but they don't have the language for it. No one ever told them what Nonenal is. No one ever said, hey, it's not you, it's biology, and there's a simple way to fix it. So the problem hides in plain sight. Everyone knows it's there. No one wants to talk about it, but what if we did? What if we changed the conversation, not to shame, but to empower? What if we taught people in their 40s and 50s how to prepare their bodies for aging, just like we talk about saving for retirement or eating healthy? What if this became part of the normal self-care routine? Because silence doesn't help anyone. But the right words, shared with kindness, can change everything. Section 9. The science of feeling fresh, even at 90. Now let's bring it all together with some good news. Science is on our side. Dermatologists, gerontologists, and hygiene researchers have studied the changes in skin chemistry that occur as we age. And more they're confirming what we've been talking about. This isn't random. It's biological, it's measurable, and it's manageable. What they've found is that as people age, the outer layer of the skin, called the stratum corneum, becomes more prone to trapping oils and environmental pollutants. Combine that with a reduced turnover of skin cells, and it becomes the perfect home for odor-producing compounds. But here's where things get exciting. Studies have shown that cleansing with mild acidic soaps, particularly those designed to break down Nonenal, can significantly reduce body odor in older adults. These aren't harsh deodorants or overpowering sprays, just smart formulations that work with the body's chemistry, not against it. There are also promising advances in probiotic skincare, which focus on balancing the microbiome on your skin. Remember, not all bacteria are bad. When you keep your skin's ecosystem healthy, you reduce the chance of odor-causing bacteria taking over. And then there's nutrition. What you eat can influence how you smell. Foods rich in chlorophyll, like spinach and parsley, can naturally neutralize odor from the inside out. Staying hydrated helps flush out toxins. Antioxidants like vitamin E and C support skin health and reduce the oxidation that leads to nonenal buildup. In other words, it's not just about washing, though that's a huge part of it. It's about caring for your skin like the living, breathing, complex organ it is. Just like you care for your heart or your joints or your mind, you can feel clean. You can smell fresh. You can walk into a room at 90 years old and carry yourself with the same confidence you had at 30. Not because you're trying to be younger, but because you're honoring who you are right now. And that's powerful. Section 10. Caring for loved ones without embarrassment. Now, let's talk about the people who are in the position to help. If you're caring for a parent, a grandparent, a partner, or even working as a professional caregiver, you might already know there's something off. But the hardest part is figuring out how to bring it up without hurting anyone's feelings. No one wants to embarrass the people they love. And when it comes to something as personal as body odor, it's easy to feel like saying anything at all is crossing a line. So we tiptoe. We avoid. We pretend we don't notice. But inside, we're torn between wanting to help and fearing that we'll offend. Here's the truth. You can talk about this, and do it with grace. In fact, it can become one of the most loving conversations you'll ever have. Start with curiosity, not criticism. You don't need to say, "You smell." Instead, try something like, "Hey, I read something interesting today about how our skin changes as we age, and there's this one spot most people forget to clean." Make it about the science, the solution, not a problem or flaw. Sometimes it helps to frame it as a shared discovery. "I didn't know this either, but apparently behind the ears is a huge trap for odor. I've been making it part of my routine now, and it really makes a difference." If you're assisting someone with bathing, make that spot a regular part of the routine. No big deal, no special attention, just like shampooing their hair or drying their back. Normalize it. And above all, offer your help with dignity. If mobility is limited or if there's discomfort involved, be patient. Use tools that make it easier. Soft brushes, easy-to-hold washcloths, seated shower stools. Create an environment where they feel safe, not ashamed. This isn't just about hygiene. It's about preserving someone's confidence. It's about helping them show up in the world feeling good about themselves. That kind of care goes beyond clean. It becomes an act of love. Section 11. Cultural perspectives on aging and odor. It's worth zooming out for a moment and looking at how other cultures approach this whole topic. Because believe it or not, our discomfort around body odor and aging isn't universal. In Japan, for example, there's actually a term for this scent, kareishu, which literally means old person smell. And it's not used as an insult. It's a recognized biological phenomenon. In fact, Japanese skincare companies have created entire product lines designed to address it gently and respectfully, acknowledging that aging bodies need different care. In many parts of India, daily cleansing is seen not just as a physical practice, but a spiritual one. Bathing isn't just about hygiene, it's about ritual, resetting, and respect. Elders are often helped by family members without shame, and body care is approached with mindfulness and reverence. African traditions, particularly in rural communities, often prioritize natural oils, herbal cleansing, and full-body care as part of community and family life. The elders are not hidden away or treated as fragile. They are included, touched, hugged, bathed, and honored. So why is it that in many Western cultures, we treat aging as something to be hidden? Why do we act like older bodies are embarrassing, or that their needs are inconvenient? Part of it comes from how we see independence. We prize doing everything alone. But in many cultures, interdependence is valued more. There's no shame in needing help, no awkwardness in physical care. And because of that, things like lingering odors are caught and addressed earlier, because no one's too proud to admit they need a hand. We can learn a lot from that. Maybe it's time to stop pretending that aging is something to battle or hide. Maybe it's time to normalize the fact that our bodies evolve, and so should the way we care for them. Section 12. It's not just about smell, it's about health. Let's not underestimate this issue by calling it just a cosmetic problem. Because body odor, especially when it changes dramatically, can be an early warning sign of deeper health issues. When someone's body starts to smell different, it could mean more than just a buildup of skin oils. It could be a sign of dehydration, poor circulation, or even undetected infections. In some cases, strong body odor can signal conditions like diabetes, liver or kidney problems, or imbalances in gut bacteria. And here's something a lot of people don't realize. When those small hidden areas, like the folds behind the ears or beneath the neck, are left uncleaned over time, they can become breeding grounds for fungal or bacterial infections. These infections can go unnoticed for weeks, even months, especially if there's reduced sensitivity or mobility. They start as a slight odor and can end in discomfort, inflammation, or even serious skin damage. There's also a mental and emotional health aspect to consider. When someone becomes self-conscious about their body, they might withdraw from social settings. They stop going to church, decline invitations, avoid hugging their grandkids. That isolation can lead to depression, anxiety, and a rapid decline in emotional well-being. So while yes, this conversation started with odor, it's about so much more than that. It's about connection, health, dignity, self-esteem. It's about the ability to feel human and whole no matter your age. And when we ignore or avoid talking about these things, we're not just avoiding discomfort. We're missing a chance to protect someone's health on multiple levels. That's why this matters, not just for cleanliness, but for everything that comes with it. Section 13, confidence at every age. There's something powerful that happens when someone starts to feel clean again. Not just surface-level clean, but fresh, confident, comfortable in their own body. It changes the way they carry themselves. And this isn't about vanity or appearances. It's about how we experience the world through our skin, through our scent, through our presence. You've probably seen it before. Someone who suddenly starts standing taller, speaking more, smiling bigger. Often, that shift doesn't come from a dramatic makeover or a fancy outfit. It comes from feeling good in your own skin, literally. We've talked to people who didn't even realize they had a persistent odor until it was gone. And then everything changed. One woman said she felt like she had been given her identity back. A man in his 70s told us he started hugging his grandkids again, without that anxious voice in the back of his mind, wondering what they might be smelling. Another woman said her confidence returned in the most unexpected ways. She started going to the store without rushing through the aisles, stopped turning down lunch invites, even started dating again. Because here's the truth. Confidence doesn't age out. It doesn't retire at 65 or vanish when your skin changes. Confidence is something you can have at any age, in any body. But it has to be nurtured. And sometimes that starts with something as simple as washing behind your ears. And let's not forget, this isn't just about older people. If you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, this applies to you too. Because the earlier you learn this, the better prepared you are to age on your own terms. Not waiting until there's a problem, staying ahead of it. Taking care of your scent is about owning your space, wherever you go. It's not about smelling like roses 24/7. It's about smelling like you, clean and healthy and real. That's what confidence smells like. That's what dignity feels like. Section 14. Practical Guide. Daily and weekly routines. Now let's get tactical, because all the awareness in the world means nothing if you don't know what to do with it. The good news? This isn't complicated. You don't need expensive products or a 12-step routine. Just a little strategy and a bit of consistency. Daily routine. Start with warm water and a soft washcloth. You don't need rough scrubbing, just gentle, focused attention. Use a mild soap, ideally one that's low in fragrance and formulated to cut through skin oils. Avoid overly scented body washes, which can irritate the skin and mask odor rather than remove it. Focus on the hidden zones, behind the ears, base of the neck, under skin folds, and around the scalp line. These are the areas where oils and nonenal compound build up the most. After washing, pat dry thoroughly. Moisture that lingers in these folds can breed bacteria. If the skin is dry, apply a light, unscented moisturizer, something simple that keeps the skin barrier healthy. Weekly add-ons. Use a soft exfoliating cloth or glove once or twice a week to gently slough off dead skin cells. Especially helpful around the neck and behind the ears. Try a pH-balanced or mildly acidic body wash specifically designed for aging skin. These help break down nonenal more effectively. Consider using witch hazel or a diluted apple cider vinegar rinse as a natural deodorizer. Apply with a cotton pad in the problem areas. Let it air dry before moisturizing. Tools to make it easier. Long-handled brushes for hard-to-reach areas. Shower stools or benches for stability. No rinse body wipes for days when a full shower isn't possible. Remember, this doesn't have to be a chore. This can be part of a relaxing, even empowering routine. Think of it as a daily reset, a moment to check in with yourself or with a loved one. A small act that makes a massive difference. If you're a caregiver, building this into your loved one's routine helps create consistency and removes the discomfort of sudden corrections. It becomes normal, easy, natural. And here's the best part. Once it becomes habit, you don't even think about it anymore. But the people around you will notice. The difference is real. Section 15. Why this message matters now more than ever. Let's zoom out one last time. We're living in a world where the population is aging fast. People are living longer, and in many ways, that's a beautiful thing. It means more years with the people we love. More time to live, learn, grow. But it also means we need to start having better conversations about what it means to age well. Not just how to avoid wrinkles or take supplements, but how to feel like yourself, how to show up in the world with pride, even when your body starts changing. This issue we've been talking about, the scent of aging, the overlooked places we forget to wash, it's not small, it's not silly. It's symbolic. It represents all the little things we stop paying attention to when it comes to growing older. And it's a reminder that dignity doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from being cared for, from caring for yourself. If you're watching this and thinking, this isn't for me yet, think again. Because the earlier you learn this, the better prepared you'll be. And if you have aging parents, grandparents, or people you love in this stage of life, you now have something powerful to offer them. Knowledge, without judgment. Help, without shame. We all want to age with grace. We all want to feel seen, respected, and loved. And sometimes that starts in the smallest, simplest ways, like a clean washcloth, a minute of care, and a conversation no one else was willing to have. So here's your call to action. If this message resonated, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Start the conversation. Help someone you love reclaim their confidence. One gentle wash behind the ears at a time. Because aging isn't something to hide from. It's something to be honored. And when we start taking care of the details, we start rewriting the story for ourselves and for everyone around us. Conclusion: start with one wash. So now we've come full circle. We started with something that almost no one talks about. The quiet, lingering odor that so many people associate with aging. Not because they want to, not because it's fair, but because somewhere along the way, we were never told the truth. The truth that it's not just age, it's chemistry. It's biology. It's a buildup of one compound in one small forgotten area of the body. And it's something that, once understood, can be addressed with a simple change. One wash, one spot, 1 minute. That's all it takes to start shifting this whole conversation, from shame to self-care, from discomfort to dignity. It's about recognizing that the people we love and the people we're becoming deserve to feel fresh, clean, confident, and connected, no matter what age we are. This isn't about fighting age. This is about respecting it, about showing up for ourselves and the people around us with kindness and curiosity instead of silence or awkwardness. So whether you're 25, 45, 75, or caring for someone in their 90s, take this message to heart. Pass it along. Let it be the start of better habits, better conversations, and better care. Because when you know better, you can do better. And when you start with one wash, you're not just scrubbing away odor. You're making space for confidence, connection, and comfort to return. And honestly, that's what we all want, isn't it? Thanks for being part of this conversation. Now go. Wash that one place and feel the difference for yourself.